These weren't engines, they were lawsuits waiting to happen, bolted under the hood and aimed straight at anyone brave enough to hit the gas. And number one didn't just get banned, it got erased before the public ever saw what it could do. Number 1. Studebaker R3 Avanti. Let's start with an engine from a company most people wrote off before it even swung. The Studebaker R3 was a supercharged 304 cubic inch V8 stuffed into the Avanti, and it made a genuine 335 horsepower at a time when a struggling brand had no business building anything that fast. Studebaker was broke, its factories were closing, and nobody expected the underdog to show up swinging. But the R3 didn't care about the balance sheet. Bolt a Paxton supercharger onto a hand blueprinted block, and you got a machine that ran flat out at over 170 miles per hour on the Bonneville salt. Humbling cars from companies 10 times its size. Picture the scene in 1963, a fiberglass coupe from a dying automaker leaving Corvettes staring at taillights. Nobody saw it coming, and that was exactly the point. But here's the tragedy. Studebaker collapsed before the R3 could find an audience, and only a handful were ever finished. Today, a documented R3 Avanti is a six-figure ghost, a reminder that the underdog built one of the fiercest engines of the era right before the lights went out. Number 2. Buick GSX Stage 1455. If there was ever an engine that lied about its own strength, it was the Buick 455 Stage 1. On the spec sheet, it claimed 360 horsepower, a number Buick engineers reportedly picked to keep insurance men calm rather than to tell the truth. In reality, this thing made a colossal 510 pound-feet of torque, one of the highest figures in the entire muscle car era. And here's the kicker, it hit that wall of grunt down low, right off idle, the way a diesel locomotive pulls a hillside. Buick wasn't supposed to be cool. Buick built cars for dentists and grandfathers. So when a GSX Stage 1 lined up next to a Chevelle at a stoplight and simply walked away, nobody could believe the badge on the fender. Most owners drove them gently and never knew what they were sitting on. That's why survivors are so rare, and why a numbers-matching GSX Stage 1 can now cross the auction block for serious six-figure money. The 455 proved a simple truth. The scariest engine on the street was hiding inside the car nobody thought to fear. Number 3. AMC 390 machine. By the late 1960s, the horsepower war had turned into open combat, and everyone assumed only the big three could play. AMC said not so fast. The little company from Wisconsin dropped its 390 cubic inch V8 into a garish red, white, and blue coupe called the Rebel machine, and it made 340 horsepower straight from the factory. On paper, that doesn't sound like a bomb. In practice, it embarrassed cars twice its budget. AMC was fighting for its life, outspent and outgunned, so its engineers did the only thing they could. They built something meaner than the money should have allowed. A stock machine could rip the quarter mile in the low 14 seconds, quick enough to make GTO owners choke on their pride. For a moment there, the underdog had a genuine giant killer. Real quick, if you're enjoying this list, smash that like button. It tells the algorithm to push this to more gearheads like you. But AMC's reputation was its own worst enemy. Buyers saw the brand as the maker of economy cars, not street weapons, so the machine never got the respect it earned. By the time the world caught on, AMC was already fading. Survivors today are prized, and clean examples pull far more than anyone in 1970 would have believed. Number 4. Ford Boss 429. Some engines were built to sell cars. The Boss 429 was built to cheat a rulebook. Ford needed to get its monster semi-Hemi V8 approved for NASCAR, and the rules said you had to sell it in a street car first. So Ford did something insane. It shoehorned a wide racing engine into the Mustang, a car whose engine bay was never designed to hold it. The fit was so tight that the cars had to be shipped to a specialty shop and rebuilt by hand, one at a time, with shock towers relocated just to make it close. Officially, it made 375 horsepower. Everyone knew that number was a joke because the block was engineered to survive well over 500 horsepower on a NASCAR oval. Only a few thousand were ever built, each one a homologation special the company barely wanted to sell. Ford lost money on every single one, treating the whole program as the price of going racing. Today, a real Boss 429 is a blue-chip collectible, and the story of that hand-stuffed engine bay is muscle car folklore. It wasn't built for the street just got to borrow it. If you're still here, I'm doing a $100 Amazon gift card giveaway to celebrate when this channel reaches 1,000 subscribers. No action is required to enter. I'll randomly pick a winner once we hit the milestone. If you want to follow the journey or see the winner announcement, feel free to subscribe. Number 5. Pontiac Ram Air IV 400. Most muscle engines just shoved. The Pontiac Ram Air IV screamed. Debuting in 1969 as the crown jewel of the GTO judge, this 400 cubic inch V8 was rated at 370 horsepower, but it made its magic up high near the red line where most big American V8s ran out of breath. Round port heads that flowed like open windows, a radical cam, and a functional ram air system that fed cold air straight into the beast. Picture lining up against a small block Chevy that thinks it owns the top end, then watching a Pontiac pull past it as the tack needle climbs. That wasn't supposed to happen, but that kind of specialized power came with baggage. The Ram Air IV was expensive, fussy, and demanded a driver who knew how to use it, so Pontiac sold very few. Insurance companies were already circling anything with a big number on the fender, tripling premiums overnight and making young buyers think twice. The survivors, though, are pure gold, especially documented judge cars with the factory Ram Air intact. Back then, most owners had no idea what they were holding. Now collectors fight over every last one. Number 6. Chrysler 446 pack. If there was ever a wolf that didn't bother hiding, it was the Chrysler 446 pack. 3 two-barrel carburetors sitting on top of a 440 cubic inch big block, making 390 horsepower and a tidal wave of torque that could vaporize a set of rear tires without trying. It debuted in 1969 as a cheaper, meaner alternative to the mighty Hemi. And here's the twist. On the street, it was often nearly as fast for a fraction of the price. Under light throttle, only the center carb opened, keeping things civil. Bury your foot, and all 6 barrels slammed open at once, and the car lunged like it had been kicked. Insurance companies watched this happen and lost their minds. By the early 1970s, premiums on anything wearing a 440 badge had spiraled so high that keeping one on the road cost more than the payments. Add tightening emissions rules choking the compression out of every engine, and the 6-pack's glory years were brutally short. Survivors are treasured now, and a numbers-matching 6-pack car commands a fortune, but back then, they were simply too much car for a world that had decided to hate them. Number 7. Chevrolet L88 427. And finally, the engine so extreme, Chevrolet actively tried to stop you from buying it. The L88 was an all-out race 427 hidden in the Corvette order sheet, and Chevy played every dirty trick to keep it out of ordinary hands. Officially, it was rated at 430 horsepower, a number so laughably low it was almost an insult because the real figure sat north of 550. Chevy underrated it on purpose so insurers wouldn't panic and so casual buyers wouldn't be tempted. Then they stacked the deck against you. The L88 came with no radio, no heater, and demanded expensive racing fuel just to run without destroying itself. Order 1 and Chevrolet quietly voided the warranty, because as far as the company was concerned, this was a race engine that happened to have a license plate. Fewer than 200 were ever built. On the track, these things were monsters, humiliating exotic machinery that cost several times as much. On the street, they were nearly undrivable, and that was the whole idea. Today, a documented L88 is generational wealth on wheels, a million-dollar legend that proves the wildest engine of the era was the one Chevy didn't even want you to have. If a story like this is exactly your kind of thing, do yourself a favor and subscribe so the next one lands right in your feed. So out of all 7, which engine would you park in your garage tomorrow if money were no object? And did I leave your favorite forbidden monster off the list? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. And if you made it all the way here, you already know the drill. Hit that like button and subscribe for more stories from the golden age of horsepower.